none of those is actually in place in Hong Kong.
Thank you very much for this input. So I think we should
go. My name is Gabriel Yu. I'm not a political activist or social activist or town planner. And I represent myself, a small voice. And I want the government to hear my voice. I live in a remote residential area in Clearwater Bay. Okay? And my backyard is public open space, 24 hours a day. And the land district office come to make sure that we open up the space for everybody to come in. So in the past 3 years, since this fiasco from Times Square had come up, less than 10 people have really walked through the public open space. But there will be a lot of IIs, illegal immigrants, the IIs and the wild boar coming through, okay? So we have a problem of managing that public open space, security management issues. We have to put up 2 security guards every night outside the perimeters to ensure people don't come in. We talk to the land district office. They say, you must make it open 24-hour days for the hikers to come through. In a public open space area, inside a private development building. Now, first of all, I look at the rationale of granting public open space in this case. None of what you said apply to our, there's no historical relics or whatsoever. The only reason why I can think of is giving these people, giving the developer public open space is there was either collusion between the developer and the town planning board and the government, or there was a stupid mistake. So can't you fix those mistakes? First of all, the bonus GFA was granted to the developer, who later on sold them to the end users. So we don't get a benefit. If you really want to redress the issue, at least get the developer to pay back the bonus GFA, but which I assume that is not possible. The government is too afraid to fight the big developers, okay? So at least give us poetic justice and try to resolve this issue. Don't say, okay, it's a problem in the past, let's move on. Please fix those 950,000, 50 cases. Thank you.
Okay. Do you want somebody particular to?
Okay.
We're going to ask 4 questions. So
Okay.
I'm wearing dark blue and I work for a developer. I will talk about commercial buildings. I don't do residential in Water Bay. I work for Hong Kong Land. I won't speak on their behalf, but give some experience. I have a lot of experience in Singapore dealing with the URA, which the lady mentioned, and I think that we have a joint venture there with Cheung Kong, another big nasty Hong Kong developer. But we have enjoyed immensely, I think, at a macro level, dealing with the URA, developing buildings there with clear guidelines to follow, but definitely an opportunity to challenge the planning authorities, to discuss with them the process, the design of the developments that we've done. That, as I say, I think deep down our projects director quite enjoys going into those meetings because the better developers care very much about public space, about the look and feel of the city. Those developers who are hanging on to developments for a long time want to create the best they can. And where you have on the other side, representing the city itself, a body who is empowered to make decisions very quickly, a body who is very knowledgeable and has their own opinions and has the interests of that city at heart. I think then you can, it is a bit of a dark room, but you do feel that the other side is constructive, empowered, and I feel that, and I know the company feels that the end result is superior to what it would be if you were just left on your own. So I'd say that process these are for greenfield sites has been a good one that both sides, I think Singapore's benefited from it, and I think the developers have been happy we have paid extra money to create public space, but we're happy to do that, as we said. Overall, it's been a good experience. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much. Other?
Hi, my name is Abraham Zamchek. I'm a graduate student in planning from the Harvard Graduate School of Design. And my thought was in the first two presentations, there seems to be a real emphasis on solid, sound, universal design principles. And of course, that's very commendable in many respects. But sometimes there's something lost in trying to be everything to everybody, especially when you talk about serving underserved communities such as domestic workers. In New York City, and it's great to hear, I'm from New York actually, so it's great to hear it commended so much. There's a problem in some of our public spaces in that they are very similar to one another, and that they're very good for people sitting down and communicating with each other. But sometimes they lack a lot of the real local color, which makes the city of New York special, and of course makes the city like Hong Kong special as well. One element of that, which I think could be addressed, is in terms of commercial use of these spaces. It might not be necessary to view it simply as a concession to the developer, but as a means of negotiation for encouraging commercial uses which really would serve a specific community or an underserved community as well. So it's not just a zero-sum game. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Here's a question in front. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Bill Varun from Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Just as a sort of an overall impression, it doesn't seem, I was in Singapore recently, and you're always struck when you go there by the differences in how the city feels. I guess my overall impression is that urban planning and really better urban design are not very high on this government's agenda. And issues like the capital cost versus recurring cost for various, that comes up a lot throughout the government. And yet I've never heard of any government initiative to look at this issue and to think about fundamental changes in the way the government finances things, recognizing that this is an issue. In other words, that again reinforces the idea that this is not a government that thinks it's got an urban planning problem. I'll leave it there.
Any other comment? No? So maybe should I? Maybe I have also some other. Oh, you want to respond?
I think another thing I wanted to mention earlier is when I was reading through the guidelines is you're basing it on Hong Kong planning standards and guidelines for open space requirements. I would like, I think one of the things that we need to understand that Hong Kong has very low standards as far as open space per person or anything, and we can't say if it's less than that, or I think there are some statements I read that there is no need for a developer to propose open space, or if it is not needed in that area. It almost reads, the language reads that it's very strict, and even if there are some good developers who really want to make the city better, they cannot do it. And I think that's not a good way to go. And I think that's why, Singapore government is not paying me to talk good about the city. I'm a genuine urbanist.